What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the TD Podcast. We're your hosts, Tony and Dak, and in today's episode, we're going to be going through our players with the most approved for this upcoming 2025 NFL season. Usually, we dive into some news first, but this week's been pretty boring outside of Antonio
Holdouts, but
Brown and holdouts. Antonio Brown's wanted for attempted murder, so there's that. But he's not in the NFL anymore, so that's not news. So outside of holdouts and AB, we don't have news. So we're just gonna jump right into the video. As I mentioned, we're going through players with the most approved division by division. So the way this is going to work is I will give a player and Dak will give a player. We do not have the same player for any division. We already went through that and checked. And just in case I had a backup just in case. So, yeah, our
I did
goal.
not.
Yeah, he did not. Our goal is to have 3 minutes per player at the most. It
We'll
probably
see
won't
how
be
that
that.
goes,
Yeah,
guys.
it probably won't be that. Maybe after at the end, like if averaged out. But I digress. Let's get into the video. We're gonna start out with the AFC North. Do you want to kick it off, or do you want me to start?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and kick it off.
Okay.
The player that I think that has the most to prove is Patrick Queen from the Steelers. Um, I think with the Steelers always being known for their defense, no, depending on what's going to happen with TJ Watt, all eyes are pointing towards Patrick Queen right now. And he's got a pretty big contract if I'm correct with the Steelers. I don't think, I mean, he was probably top 25 in tackles last year. Um, or he was top 25 in tackles last year. But according to PFF, he was ranked 64th out of, no, 65th out of 84
Oof.
linebackers, qualified linebackers. So to me, he's getting tackles, but he's probably out of space, getting picked on in the middle. And he really hasn't looked as the linebacker that he was without Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith in the division with the Ravens. That's where Patrick Queen got to start at. To me, he is someone that I think has to prove something with the big contract, and with the Steelers being known for their defense. What can Patrick Queen do? I believe it's his second year in Pittsburgh to really help that defense out. Because before we were like, oh, it's just going to be all straight defense. You know, now they bring in Aaron Rodgers, so that helps. He's not going to be on the field as much, but I still think Patrick Queen needs to prove something to this organization that he's worth the contract he's getting.
Yeah. Okay. So, like you, I also had a Steelers player. I didn't choose Aaron Rodgers. He was my backup. I did, however, choose DK Metcalf. DK is now in Pittsburgh with the Steelers. Last year, he was riddled with injuries and had a not great year. He was 8 yards short of 1,000 yards. He only had 5 touchdowns as well. This is the first time in his career that he won't have a lot of help from other receivers. I've mentioned numerous times I don't really trust the Steelers' weapons. If I remember correctly, I think they have Calvin Austin and who was their other guy? It's not Van Jefferson anymore. I don't believe.
No, there. I've seen some things linking
Roman Wilson.
Keenan Allen, Keenan Allen there,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, obviously, you
Oh,
know how the Steelers are.
mm-hmm.
They're linking players to them, and they don't sign for about 3 months.
Yeah,
No shot at Aaron Rodgers there.
yeah. So outside of DK, you got Robert Woods and Calvin Austin, and then Roman Wilson and Scotty Miller deeper down. So no real player outside of DK to really do much. In Seattle, he had Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba. So this is his first year of really, really being a solidified number one. And then he's also got the upticked pressure from Aaron Rodgers as well. Aaron Rodgers demands perfection from his receivers. So it'll be interesting to see how DK responds from injury, responds and recovers from injury, but also how he deals with just all the pressure from the quarterback and just being a part of the Steelers.
Yeah,
Um,
I was gonna comment there. I was gonna say, it's interesting that he's there on the Steelers because the Steelers are a hard work organization. They're not an organization that is seen as players complain. Players get what they want, divas, stuff like that. They're a hard-working organization. Is what it's pretty much felt as if it's built on, and they demand um, hard work and excellence. And I think that's why they get to 500 every year.
Mm.
It's interesting. Not that I'm saying DK is a complainer and that he's a whiner and everything like that, but we have seen some stints where DK gets some penalties on the field where Kyle Shanahan from the 49ers is going, hey, whoever gets under this guy's skin, I'm going to give you a present. I'm going to give you something.
Mm.
And it's interesting to me, can DK handle himself there in Pittsburgh, or will Pittsburgh turn on DK?
Especially in
Is the
that
big question for
division
me.
where everybody goes for everybody's neck. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So our next division is the AFC East. My player with the most to prove is Justin Fields. He's the new home with his New York Jets. It's his first real opportunity to start since Chicago. He was signed before Russell Wilson, if I remember correctly. And no, he was
Yes.
signed. Was it
Yes.
before or after?
Yes, it was before. He
Yeah,
was one of the first dominoes to fall.
and he was supposed to start, and then they brought in Russell Wilson. So I was like, okay, so what do you really think of him? And then he got the first 5 starts, played well, and then got the bench. He's got good weapons in New York with Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, and then their defense is also good with Aaron Glenn being the head coach. And then maybe his final opportunity to be a starter if he doesn't pan out. I have high hopes for him. He's one of my guys that I'm going to be buying into in terms of fantasy football. He's got Brees Hall in that backfield too. The read option's going to be gnarly, and then he may not be the most accurate passer, but he since when you really have to put him in play action, they're going to be
He's
biting
got
on all the
legs.
runs. Yeah, he can run.
Yeah, he's got legs.
So
He'll be all right.
I'm
Yeah,
interested to
and
see what happens.
it's just the organization, what the organization does for Justin Fields, because
Mm-hmm.
we've had good quarterbacks there in New York for the Jets, and they haven't been
Mm-hmm.
able to do anything in
Yeah,
that organization.
it could look a little
Um,
bit like. Um, do I have a direct reflection? I don't really. I was thinking kind of like the Broncos last year, but Sean Payton and Aaron Glenn don't really match up. I was thinking like young athletic quarterback with a stellar defense kind of deal. Um, but you know, who do you
my
got for the
my
AFC East?
my player for the AFC East is Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we just talked about how we were trying to stay away from second year players.
Yeah,
But I think the Patriots are in a situation now where they're in a complete turnover. They're ready to win. I think that they have the pieces to be a winning team and not be a below 500 team. And I think Drake May has to prove that he is a good quarterback in the NFL that takes them there. Because if he doesn't prove that he's just an average quarterback, then I don't think the Patriots can be a winning team this year.
mm-hmm.
Average is just going to lead them to below average. If he's good, I think that can lead them to average because I think they're still a few pieces away. Ramondre Stevenson has still a lot to prove. He was my honorable mention for this division because I think he's got a lot to prove as well. Can he stay healthy? Can he be a three-down back? Can he block? Can he do all those things that a running back should do? Or are the Patriots looking to go, hey, we probably should have taken Ashton Denty or somewhere around that?
They did take
Um,
Travion Henderson though, which is something to
that
keep your eye on.
that's and again, but Drake May, second year, he was a Pro Bowler. Is the Pro Bowl mean
Pro Bowl's a
anything? Is he
joke now.
really that good? He's got to prove something to me that he is worth that Pro Bowl selection. That um, he is the guy that's going to lead the Patriots back to the promised land. That is what Patriots fans are hoping to
Mm-hmm.
do since Tom Brady has been gone.
Yeah, and my honorable mention, just because we're kind of plowing through these, is Jalen Waddle. He wasn't productive last season. He totaled 742 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then this year, depending on what they end up doing with Tyreek Hill, he could be getting first like wide receiver 1 reps. So a lot of attention could be on him, and I would like for that receiving core to start producing whoever is at quarterback. Um, for
Those receivers are too good for to be not getting the production they should be getting.
exactly.
Um, I haven't been the biggest fan of Jalen Waddle, just because there's not much tape on him in college. He was good, but he got hurt. Um, but with um, Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill, guys. I
Hmm.
mean, he's was the best wide receiver in the league for a little bit.
Yeah.
He was quick, and he might be gone. And if he leaves, Tyreek's got something to prove as well.
Hmm.
Because, like I said, he's one of the best wide receivers. He's one of the fastest wide receivers we have ever seen in pads.
He's
That
probably the
means
best
40-yard
fast
dash
receiver
speed.
we've seen. Because outside of him, it's John Ross and Henry Ruggs. Nobody else is really coming to mind. So
Yeah.
I think Tyreek Hill really puts the stamp on being a fast receiver and being productive. Our next division is the AFC South. Dak, do you want to start, or did I
Yeah,
just start that one? Yeah.
I'll kick this one off because I think this one's kind of fun.
Okay.
Everyone's gonna sit here and say, "Oh, it's Anthony Richardson," and that's the easy choice, right?
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson has something to prove. He needs to prove it, but he can't prove anything if he's not on the field.
Mm.
And that's the problem with Anthony Richardson is he cannot stay on the field. Um, and he's played maybe 7 games. Um, I forget who it was. I think it was Jordan Love had more pass attempts last season. No. Geno Smith. Geno Smith had more pass attempts last season than Anthony Richardson has had since high school. Insane. That is an insane stat. Anthony Richardson needs to stay on the field, but he's not the guy that has something to prove. It's Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has everything to prove because he left Minnesota, where Minnesota was like, hey, yeah, we want you to stay here. We want you to be our backup because we don't really know what's going to happen with JJ. But he took a lot more money because the Colts, remind you, I think they're paying him 14 million, if not
14 or
more,
15, yeah.
to be the backup. So clearly, the Colts were like, we don't really trust Anthony Richardson right now. We want to bring in a guy that can win. Daniel Jones has made the playoffs. All right, and I believe he might have won a playoff game. I
Pretty
can't
sure.
remember, but I know he's been in the playoffs. I think 2 or 3 years ago with Dable. He's a guy that he's got weapons, and if he's got an offensive line, he could do something. But a lot of people forget Daniel Jones is also very, very mobile. And I think he's got everything to prove to the NFL that, hey guys, I'm out of this New York situation. Watch what I can do. And that's the same thing that has happened with Sam Darnold. He got out of the New York situation and he rejuvenated his career. Granted, it's two different and a different New York team. Same thing that happened to Geno. Geno got out of that New York situation, bounced around, boom, he's back. He's a face of a franchise. I think, hey, Daniel Jones could be that. And I think he's got everything to prove to the NFL that, hey, I'm a quarterback in this league, and I'm still good. They don't call me Danny Dimes for nothing.
I think we do call him Danny Dimes for nothing. Because looking at his stats, he has never been able to keep the ball out of the defense's hands. He's got a weak arm. It's only gotten worse since he's had that neck surgery. His leg has been a problem. He's been injury prone. I don't think the Colts have handled their quarterback room very well at all. They now have two quarterbacks who had plenty of injury history. And I honestly, it may sound silly, but I wouldn't be surprised if Riley Leonard got some starts this year. I don't think that the way Shane Steichen has handled the quarterback room and giving Anthony Richardson more competition in the quarterback room was the right way to handle it. I think we saw how it went last year. Because the second Joe Flacco started to suck, you're like, wow, now what are you gonna do? It's kind of like the I told you so. Like, yeah, Anthony Richardson did not do a good job last year in terms of being a starter and being a leader. Like, going to the sideline because you're out of breath, that's weak. Call a timeout, dude. Come on. Like, with that comes some maturity as well. Like, from my understanding, he started 1 or 2 seasons in Florida. So, like you mentioned, he hasn't thrown very many. What? Are you looking up stats?
1 season.
Oh, he
No,
started one
one
season.
season.
Yeah,
He started 1 season, I think 7 games.
yeah. That's so you knew he was going to be a project. So bringing in all this competition was not the way to handle it. Bringing in mentors, that is how you build up a quarterback who is a project, like a Ryan Fitzpatrick or somebody. Not obviously he doesn't play anymore, but like Colt McCoy, these
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett, these guys who travel and aren't really like searching for that starting job. Joe Flacco, he wasn't around to like mentor. Same thing with Kirk Cousins. Now Kirk Cousins may be changing that mindset in Atlanta now. I don't know because he doesn't really seem like a kind of guy to just be causing trouble. And then there's plenty of other veteran quarterbacks who have been like that, like Aaron Rodgers, for example. He's not going to go be a mentor to somebody. But I don't think the quarterback situation has been handled well for Indy, and I don't really think Daniel Jones is going to prove much. I don't really have faith in him. Uh, yeah, I just don't. But I do think he could be a good player for this list. But looking at his stats, like he's got a noodle arm. He threw last season. He threw for 2,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions in 10 games. I'm not loving that. And he's hasn't been healthy since 2022. He hasn't played more than 10 games,
Yep.
and since 2022.
You get him out of New York, and you see what happens.
You get him out of New York and put him in another organization that doesn't take care of their quarterbacks and see what happens. That's what you just said.
Well, I think the Colts take care of their quarterbacks. It's just the
Andrew
quarterback
Luck?
doesn't take care of itself.
Peyton Manning?
Yeah, but think about it. Think about it. What was the first thing that Chris Ballard did when he got here? He got a line. He figured it out. Granted, they didn't.
It was
let
too
the
late.
other linemen go, but I think the Colts are a better organization when it comes to offensive lines than most.
Now. Well, they've also ruined Andrew Luck's career, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. My AFC South pick is Travis Etienne. He was bad last season. He had sub 600 yards and 2 touchdowns. And there are too many weapons on that offense for him to not pick it up. You got Travis Hunter. You got Brian Thomas Jr. Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be taking that next step. He was my honorable mention, was Trevor Lawrence. And then that defense has some to show. They've got some swagger to them. I'm interested to see what Liam Cohen does with that offensive mindset, being that young head coach. I really think, I really think Travis Etienne could go crazy this year. Because you look at what was it Bucky Irving? Yeah, Bucky Irving and Rashad White did last year. That's Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne. I'm excited.
I like that.
But my honorable mention was, again, Trevor Lawrence. Same thing. Too many weapons for him to not take that step. Offensive-minded head coach. He sucked last season. 2,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions in 10 starts. And hasn't reached his potential yet. I don't think he's reached that potential of the number 1 pick.
And everyone's comparing him to Peyton Manning.
It
took Peyton a little bit. It did take Peyton Manning a little bit to get going. But Peyton was also in the league for a long time. I don't know if if Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to stick around in that organization for a long time.
At this rate.
He doesn't get to winning.
Yeah. So our next division is the AFC West. And no, I didn't pick a Raiders player. So there. Everybody was waiting for it. I know it. Actually, I picked Justin Herbert. If you think I'm not going to jump on the opportunity to pick on a divisional opponent.
Here we go. There's still the biasy.
No, I could have chosen so many Raiders. You have no idea. He's kind of fallen off, Justin Herbert has, since 2021. His stats have not been what they were. He's been mediocre in passing yards, touchdowns, but he doesn't really turn the ball over. He's got a head coach that believes in him and needs to take the step for the Chargers to be real contenders. I know. Oh, he doesn't have the receiving threats. You know what? I'm about sick and tired of it. Because...
Stop making excuses for that man.
Like, Lad McConkey, he had Keenan Allen for so long. He had Mike Williams. Yeah, granted, he was hurt quite a bit. He had
a receiving core.
He
Let's
did.
not get it twisted.
He did.
He had a receiving core.
And when he did, you know what he did? So I was looking at his stats earlier because I wanted to make sure I wasn't just being insane. And the last time, wow, his middle name is Patrick. Okay. Since 2021, so 2021 was his last stellar season. He threw for 5,000 yards, 38 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Since then, he's thrown for 47, 39, 25, and 10, 3,100, 20, and 7, and then 3,800, 23 and 3. So, yes, he's protecting the ball, but you want to see more from him being a franchise quarterback. 23 touchdowns is like, oh yeah, that was still good. You'll go to bat for him because it's the name Justin Herbert. But because we're here, and because I have to, now I'm going to go do something that people were expecting, and we're just going to take a second here. Hey Dak, take a so in 2023.
Trying to bet on the Pacer game.
Oh, you're fine. In 2023, so Justin Herbert's stats were 3,100 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, right?
Yes.
Derek Carr stats in 2023 were 3,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. But Justin Herbert's top 10 quarterback. We have to start keeping these guys accountable for their top 10 status. If you are not putting up these crazy numbers, then that just totally illegitimizes the top 10 status in and of itself. Cut it off at top 5. If these players after the top 5 aren't good, then who cares if they're top 10, dude?
I think with the NFL, it's just like, I know we're going on a tangent right now, but with the NFL, I think if you're not a top 5, top 7 quarterback, it depends on what day and what year, because you could be 22, but then you could be 10 the next year, and you could go right back down to 17, because they're all the same kind of skill level. It just depends on the system that they're running that certain year. Because your top 5, your top 7 guys are always going to be dominating. Like your Josh Allen, your Patrick Mahomes, your Lamar, your Joe Burrows. No matter what, they're going to get theirs. They're going to do their thing.
Yeah.
Now, you got your Genos, you got your Kirk Cousins, your Sam Darnolds, where they could be, they're a top 10 quarterback in the league, but then they go down to 22, 23, and you're like, oh, these guys suck.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of the correlation in the NFL that it has, where depending on your situation, depending on where you're at, depending on the year, it really matters in that situation, that what these quarterbacks could do according to their stats.
Yeah.
Now, to get into my AFC West guy, as the guy I just mentioned, in Patrick Mahomes, go look at his stats last year, and you're like, how is this guy in the GOAT debate? He only had 26 touchdowns and I believe 13 interceptions, if not 12 interceptions. You're like, well, that's not the GOAT. We're used to 40 touchdown seasons from Patrick Mahomes. And how many one-possession games did the Chiefs end up in last year? Chiefs fans want Patrick Mahomes, the Patrick Mahomes we all know he is. And I think he has something to prove, because I think there's some chatter going on that, hey, is Patrick Mahomes really that guy? Or is it just Andy Reid is just that good of a coach? And he's taking a guy that has an arm, and he's like, hey, do your thing, but I'm going to put you in a situation where you're not going to fail. And I think Patrick Mahomes has to prove that, hey, guys, remember who I am. Don't forget about me. Just because I played in a Super Bowl, just because I'm here and I didn't win, doesn't mean I'm not that good. Patrick Mahomes is a really, really good quarterback. And I know I probably sound like Phil Simms right now, but
you have said he's the best quarterback numerous times on this podcast, so
I believe Patrick Mahomes has to prove that he's an MVP caliber and that he's in that GOAT debate this year. And I think he can do it. But that's why Patrick Mahomes is my AFC West, needs to prove it, because he just lost the Super Bowl. It's gut-wrenching.
Now,
can you turn around and go?
With all of that being said, with these quarterbacks and their stats, I'm fully aware, and I'm sure Dak's fully aware, stats are not everything, especially for quarterbacks, right?
No.
But if
wins and losses
are also important, but I also don't think that's a quarterback stat. I think it really comes down to a mixture of all three of them, right? Because there's the schemes, there's the stats, there's the eye test, there's all these different things that come down to what makes a good quarterback. Now, am I saying Justin Herbert's not a top 10 quarterback? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that his stats have been comparable to these quarterbacks who people say are bottom 10, bottom 12, top 20, what have you. So it really comes down to, are you going for the name as being a top 10 and that's what it is? Or is it actually like, oh, he's a top 10 quarterback? Because as a society, as a fan of sports, we need to move away from the sheep mindset of, hey, this guy's a top 10 quarterback because I've heard his name so much, right? Like, obviously, Mahomes is kind of like an outlier in all of these things because we've seen what he can do. But you also have to think he had the best receiver in the league for a couple of seasons. He's had the best tight end since Rob Gronkowski, since he started playing football. So there's all these different things, and obviously I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes isn't like the best quarterback in the league. I would never say that. But I am saying that you have these quarterbacks who are doing similar, if not better, things with similar or worse weapons, right? Are you going to take the Chiefs' weapons? Or are you going to take the Bills' weapons? Are you going to take the Ravens' weapons? Or are you going to take the Chiefs' weapons, right? All these different things.
And when you're talking about those weapons, right? You just mentioned the Ravens, right? You just mentioned the Bills, and you just mentioned the Chiefs. Those three weapons probably aren't top five weapons all throughout the league.
No,
Because could you imagine what Lamar Jackson could do with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle?
exactly.
Could you imagine what Josh Allen could do with
Lamar or with Jamar, with T.
with
Higgins.
Jamar T. Higgins? Granted, Joe Burrow is doing phenomenal with them, and he's probably doing it better than some quarterbacks could,
Mm-hmm.
or that most quarterbacks could.
Because he's a passer.
But but like the weapons, those guys are putting up good years consistently with bad weapons.
Imagine what he could do
You
with the
look at
Colts
what
weapons. Any of
you
those
look
three.
at what Sam Darnold just did last year with
Jay
those
Jettis and
weapons.
Jordan Addison.
You put Patrick Mahomes in that, and you're like,
Yeah.
dang.
And I think the other thing is you also have to consider Josh Allen plays for a defensive minded head coach. Whereas Andy Reid and Harbaugh are both offensive minded head coaches. So all these different things are to say we need to move away from like the this is what's going on because this is what I'm told and start actually doing stuff and learning it on ourselves, right? And that's why I get a lot of flack is because I go against the grain quite a bit. And
We as a football fan society need to
mhm,
stop watching one source, stop watching our favorite source,
mhm.
or a source that
Don't
is
just watch
sitting and
us.
complaining about Aaron Rodgers not at OTAs, but he's not even on the team.
Yeah.
All
Don't
right,
don't just
what are
watch
we
us. Don't just
doing
watch
in
any. Yeah,
society?
watch a bunch of people. And with all that being said, my second honorable mention, or my honorable mention, was the Chiefs' offense because the Chiefs' offense did not rank top 10 in any other stats. Next, okay, now to get to the NFC. Now that we're off that soapbox, starting with the NFC North, I have Jared Goff. Um, can he succeed without Ben Johnson? That's really what it comes down to. Before Ben Johnson, their offense ranked 25th. Since then, it's been top five every season. Jared Goff has been considered a top 10 quarterback for the last probably 3 seasons, but I'm really interested to see what happens without Ben Johnson. If I remember correctly, the Lions hired within, so there may be a lot of the same ideologies and same or similar schemes and all that concepts, that kind of deal. But Ben Johnson is like one of the offensive minds in football. Right now, at least, is he going to be the flash in the pan like Mike McDaniel, or is he going to be sticking around like Sean McVay? That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But that's something we're going to learn this season, and I think Jared Goff's really going to have to show out because these Lions fans might turn on him. Like if they see all the success, they get a taste of it again, and then it's just gone because they lose the coordinator. That probably won't fly with them. And we've seen
No.
Jared Goff be top 10. We've seen him be bottom 10. It
Yeah,
really
we've
comes down
seen
to can he
Jared
prove
Goff
they
is
can
like
continue
very
to do it.
inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Goff has been very inconsistent throughout his whole entire career. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you look at the year that he was with the Rams and they made it to the Super Bowl, and you see the Monday Night Football game, or maybe it was a Thursday Night Football game. I think it was a Monday night. No, it was Thursday night because they had the color rush uniforms on, where it was the Chiefs and the Rams, and they
There
scored like
was,
60 points.
yeah,
And then
scoregami.
I believe that was, And then I believe that same year he was in the Super Bowl and they scored 3 points and
Yeah.
lost 10-3 to the Patriots.
Yeah.
It's like that. This is the same type of team.
Yeah.
Granted, two different defenses that they're going against,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to see something from Jared Goff, and I can agree with that pick. My pick is Xavier McKinney
Mm.
from the Packers.
He's a good guy.
Is
Good
safety.
player.
Um, I have him because obviously they just let Jair Alexander go, and McKinney was second in the NFL last year in interceptions. Can he really hold this defense down? Is he worth the money that he's going to be wanting? I believe he's up for an extension in the next few years, if
Mm.
not this year. Um, can he hold that defense down, and is he that piece that can take the Packers
That cornerstone.
long term in that situation, because their offense is going to be good. Their defense is what needs to needs to be just as good as the offense if they want success.
Mm.
And I think he's got something to prove. Can he continue to do what he did last year, or was it just a fluke and he was in the right position at the right time
Yeah.
for all those interceptions?
Yeah, and getting interceptions repeatedly is never really a easy feat. I mean, you see Trayvon Diggs, you see Deron Bland. Who was it before him? Was it Xavier Howard? Was he the guy? Or yeah, on the Dolphins forever ago.
Yeah.
That was when I was in. I think
Yeah.
it was 2019, 2020, because I was still in college at that point. But then my honorable mention was the Packers quarterback Jordan Love. They have too many weapons for him to not be good, like not be like excel. And then
Yeah.
their defense is also solid. So it really comes down to, can he take that next step? In 2023, we saw him throw for 4,000 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. But this year, granted, he had some injuries. I will give him that. He threw for 3,300 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions again. So it really, but he was also only sacked 14 times, which is quite a big increase, or quite a decrease compared to the 30 times he was sacked the year before. So that was my honorable mention. The only reason I'm throwing these honorable mentions out is because we're kicking butt and taking names and hauling through it, and I don't want to leave any players like, oh, well, like there's a lot of players that with stuff to prove. I was trying to stay away from quarterbacks and second-year players. I did my best, but we've got a lot of quarterbacks coming up, so
We do.
there's a lot of quarterbacks with a lot to prove.
Speaking of quarterbacks, this one is not a quarterback. For the NFC East, I have Malik Neighbors as my he needs to prove something. I believe that Malik Neighbors is kind of flying under the radar and kind of being forgot about. He's not really talked about much this offseason. And he has a Super Bowl winning quarterback with him now, and Russell Wilson.
And Jabu, how do you pronounce his nickname? Jameis Winston's? How do you, whatever the heck it is.
Jaboy.
Whatever. That's a W.
So, Malik Neighbors, I think he's a top receiver in the division, and I think he could be one of the best receivers out of last year's draft class, if not the best. I think all the attention's going to Brian Thomas Jr., but I would take Trevor Lawrence over any quarterback that was in that situation last year for the Giants. And I know I've said that, oh yeah, Daniel Jones can do something.
Could you imagine
only
Brian
played,
Dable
10
with Trevor
games.
Lawrence?
Like, I think Malik Neighbors has everything to prove, and I think he could be a 1,300-yard guy next year if he can stay healthy and if he has the same quarterback throughout the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Dart's probably going to get a lot of playing time next year, and if those two can get on the same page, it's going to be a crazy duo, I think, for years to come in the NFL, and Jackson Dart and Malik Neighbors.
Yeah. Now, for my NFC East, both my main pick and my honorable mention are quarterbacks. But my priority is Sam Darnold. Can he capitalize on last season? Wait, I'm in the wrong division. I realized that the second I.
Okay.
Yeah, because you went to the wrong division. That's why.
No, I didn't. I went to the East, NFC East.
Did I write that down wrong? I did
You
write down
did.
that. Yeah. Okay. My guy, sorry, is Kayvon Thibodeau, another Giants player on the defensive side. He has not produced up to his draft spot in 2022. He's got 127 tackles, 21 sacks, and 26 TFLs. Um, I don't remember how many games he's played. But in comparison, Will Anderson has the same sacks and TFLs in 27 games. Oh, there it is. I wrote it in my notes. Kayvon Thibodeau has 43 games. So in 43 games, he has 127 tackles, 21 sacks, and 26 TFLs, while Will Anderson has the same sacks and TFLs in 27 games. So in about half that time, a little over half that time, Will Anderson's done the same. Granted, Will Anderson's also thought to be a better edge rusher, but they're also around the same draft pick. So it just comes down to can he put it together with Abdul Carter and Brian Burns, and can that D line actually produce and be monsters with if they played all three of them plus Dexter Lawrence, that division's going to be hurting, especially their quarterbacks, especially Dak Prescott, who is my honorable mention, who just got paid, he just got hurt, and he needs to prove he can come back from injury again. So, yeah, and now he's got two legit receivers now too.
He's got two legit receivers. Dak Prescott. I do like that pick where he has something to prove. I think Dak Prescott will prove it. It's never been a is Dak Prescott good enough? It's can he stay healthy?
Yeah,
If he's healthy, they make the playoffs every year and
yeah,
win the division mostly every year when he's healthy.
but that's
Granted,
also
the Eagles
before,
are
yeah,
better now.
and so are the Commanders.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's got to work harder and he's got to prove it a little bit more now.
Another guy. So we're gonna kick it to the NFC South, and this is the NFC South I have some trouble with. So I mentioned that I didn't like choosing quarterbacks, and I didn't want to choose second year players. So what I did was I chose Bijan Robinson. Bijan has been a top 5 running back since he entered the league, and now he has an inexperienced quarterback with him for the first time in his career. Um, well, I guess he had Desmond Ritter. I forgot about him, but anyways, forget Desmond Ritter. Can he take enough pressure off of him, and can he maintain his production with a packed box? I don't expect Bijan Robinson to fall off a cliff. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying, can he prove to continue to be the guy that he is in these circumstances? Now, I'm also interested to see what the Falcons do with their offense, because Michael Penix is and can be a mobile quarterback. So do they throw in some read option and give Bijan even more looks, outside of just the fact that they need to give their rookies, or not rookie, but basically rookies, some time to like
Yeah.
continue to learn about the NFL and how to really dive in and set his feet. So I'm interested to see how Bijan plays. Like I said, I don't expect him to have a bad season, but I do want to see
I think
him
the
continue
guy
to prove himself well.
I think the guy that we're missing there is Kyle Pitts,
I didn't
former
miss Kyle
first round
Pitts. I
number
just
eight
don't have
overall.
faith in him.
Yeah,
I,
the
he's
former first
ship has
round
sailed.
pick, eighth overall. Um, he's got everything to prove because he had one good year and he's just fallen off every year since.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not my guy. He is an honorable mention. But my guy is Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young needs to prove that he's a starter in the league. He got the keys again
Mm-hmm.
last year to the system, and he's got some weapons now. You need to turn it up. You need to win about 6 or 7 games to say, "Hey, I'm still improving. My team's gonna be good." You need to give the NFL um, some stints of good greatness.
Be
You were the second.
productive. No,
You were the
just be
yeah
consistent is all we're
productiveness.
asking. Be
You were the
consistent.
number. You were. He was the number one overall pick.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Um, prove it. You're going into you're
Third
going into
season.
your third year, and
Second
you
with
need to
Dave
prove it
Canales.
now.
They've
Yeah,
put weapons
you
around
need to
him.
prove it.
Got Chuba Hubbard, Jonathan Stewart is not Jonathan Stewart. What's his name?
Jonathan Brooks.
Jonathan Brooks is going to be out this year. Um, but you have Adam Thielen, you have Ted McMillan, you have
Xavier Leggett.
Xavier Leggett, you have the goat Hunter Renfro. You've got a defense
You got
that's
weapons.
you got a defense that sucks, so there's more pressure on you. But you got to show out. He was my honorable mention, so I'm glad you mentioned him. Now we're down to our final division, the NFC West. Yeah, NFC West.
We have the
I
we
kind
have
of
the same one here.
I kind of jumped the
We
gun here.
lied.
I did.
We lied.
Maybe I didn't listen.
Yeah, we
Okay, you
lied.
can go first then. And then
Sam Darnold.
yeah, there you go.
But if you want to take Sam Darnold, I have one on the fly here.
I
Same
have a
team.
backup. I have a backup. So
I'm gonna go with Cooper Cup. I think
okay.
Cooper Cup has everything to prove on this new team. Um, the Rams gave up on him, and I think he's still a top 10 receiver in the league. He's a really great route runner. He can get open, and I think he can prove that hey, just because I'm not on the Rams anymore doesn't mean I'm gonna die. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna get the same production because I don't have Matthew Stafford anymore.
Yeah, what was it?
Um,
3 seasons ago, he was the Triple Crown winner.
Yeah. So at 3 or 4. So I think I'm gonna go with Cooper Cup here as my guy that has to prove it, and he's on a prove it year. Because yeah, um,
It
he's been given
was
up on, and people are forgetting about him.
it was 2021. So I guess it just depends on how you count the season. Count the seasons.
Yeah.
Um, so Sam Darnold, like we mentioned, is really our pick. Can he capitalize on last season without Kevin O'Connell? Can he still be good? Um, Before last season, he hadn't thrown for more than 3,000 yards outside of 2019. He also hadn't played a full season until last year. So can he stay healthy and can he produce? It's really two questions that come down to it. He doesn't play well under pressure, and he still has a good defense and a good number one receiver and a good running back. So he doesn't really have too many excuses. Yes, the offensive line still sucks. I have little to no faith in Sam Darnold this upcoming season, if I'm being honest. I
Yeah.
don't think the Seahawks are going to be good unless Mike McDonald really cranks it up with that defense. I think now, I think late in the season, if Sam Darnold sucks, Jalen Milroe might be getting some starts because,
Yeah, that was in my and that's in my notes.
yeah,
Sam Darnold's on a huge contract, and they've already
but
picked up his backup.
yes, but his contract has an out next season. They can get out next season. That's what I was getting ready to mention is because if he doesn't play well, if he doesn't prove it this season, then he could be gone next year and be back on the free agency or be traded. Because if the Aaron Rodgers project doesn't work out in Pittsburgh, there's a younger quarterback for Mike Tomlin.
Sam Darnold in Pittsburgh is not what Pittsburgh wants to see.
No, but it's also not Aaron Rodgers. So my last honorable mention, and because I feel like he has to be talked about, is Kyler Murray. He has to take the next step. He just has to.
Yeah.
He's got too many weapons.
He's got to make the playoffs. If you're Cardinals, he's got to make the playoffs. He's got to win at least 10 games, if not more.
He has had too many chances, too many weapons, and the Cardinals are reliant upon him being consistent. My brother's a Cardinals fan. He loves Kyler Murray, but he's not a consistent quarterback. I had him in fantasy football. He put up points until I needed him to. Obviously, not everything is reliant upon fantasy football. But that team is too well built for them to not be second or make the playoffs. I get it. Their division is tight. It's hard. But the Seahawks are going to fall off. And the Rams are an injury away from falling off too. Because what are you going to do? Walk out there with Jimmy G at quarterback and expect to win? You're hilarious. If the Rams win,
We both went through that one.
if the Rams
both
make
went
the
through that one.
playoffs with Jimmy Garoppolo, I might never watch the NFL ever again. I get it. They have a great receiving room with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. But Jimmy Garoppolo is not that guy. He's not. And I will never forgive Josh McDaniels for making me sit through that and ruining Derek Carr's career and Devontae Adams shipping him out because they brought in Jimmy Garoppolo and everything else that happened with that terrible, terrible stint and hire. But yeah, that's all 8 of our players plus a couple because we had time. We're kicking butt with we're at minute 44 right now, including the intro. So we did a pretty good job today. We're doing our best to be not take up too much time, but also get our points across. We'll also not yapping too much. I feel like we did a good
We don't
job
want
of
to
that.
bore you guys.
Yeah, we don't want to bore you. We want to get you the football that you need, and then get on with your day. Um, Now, the upcoming episodes, I feel like since we're this deep in the off season, we could start doing some more fun stuff. So Dak and I have been talking about doing some like more tier ranking things. There's a website called the Immaculate Grid that me and him could go through and like test our ball knowledge and go back and forth and do that kind of stuff. Sporkle quizzes, there's always those, and more of the like fantasy football or flag football draft kind of stuff. Like that was probably the most fun I had recording an episode was doing that. Um, so
I
yeah,
think
just
fantasy football, having some fantasy football episodes, and really giving you tips on fantasy football. That's something that I live for. Fantasy football is I I have people that come to me to ask me about fantasy football that I get paid. It's something where I'm doing about 15 to 20 mock drafts a week, getting prepared for all my money leagues and looking at ADPs for Yahoo, for ESPN, for
sleeper, the
Sleeper,
best.
everything you name it. Um, if you want fantasy football knowledge, we're going to have it here in the next month or two. And you better be prepared because we will be doing some fantasy football draft episodes. We will be looking at if you have pick 5, if you have pick 8, these are the ways you should be going. And it's something I am very, very excited about to have and to talk about with you guys because I think there's tips here that can help you win. Um, in our leagues that we have had, the league that me and Ant are both in, I have won a championship, and Ant has
I've finished with
been the
the
number
best
one seed
record both years.
twice. So we are in a deep league as well. There's 16 teams. It is a two
Is it 16
flex
or 14?
and or sorry, 14 man league,
Yeah.
and it is two flex. So and defensive players. So we know ball, as we like to say,
And
and we
don't
know
forget it.
fantasy football. So
Yeah. So just make sure you're responding to these community polls. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. Make sure you're on the YouTube again, answering the polls, shooting us the some recommendations that you guys want to see, and we might be bringing in some people to help us out with like those kinds of videos, like the mock drafts and the fantasy football stuff, just so we can get like a full blown mock draft and like have people explain their picks and why they did so. But we also got to find people who know ball and actually it makes sense. We don't want you taking Bryce Young with the number 2 pick or uh, Chuba Hubbard or some Panthers player or a Browns player in the first round because none of that makes sense. Had to get some Browns slander in the video.
if
Haven't
you're
done that yet.
wondering what I'm looking at, I'm watching the Pacer game, and Rick Carlisle, I believe, just got a technical foul on something that is really, really bad. If you are a basketball fan and you're watching the finals, you gotta be asking yourself what is going on with these NBA officials because OKC fans are mad about it, Pacer fans are mad about it. Inconsistency is horrible. I'm sorry I'm going down this rant when it comes to basketball because I know this is an NFL podcast and a football
Darn right,
podcast,
I don't watch
but
that sport.
but the NFL is so much better when it comes to their officials, and the NFL officials are not that very good. So if you can imagine how bad the NBA officials are right now, I am highly, highly upset.
I think
Sorry.
officials in all of the sports world have sucked like this last 2 seasons because even in the MLB I've seen stuff, and I'm not an MLB guy either. So ML I know an umpire by name. That's how bad they were a couple years ago. What was it? Angel Rodriguez.
Angel
Hernandez,
Hernandez.
yeah, he is a bomb. That's all you need to know. So
Yes.
whether it's basketball, whether it's fantasy football, whether it's football, whether it's some stupid umpire's name, we know ball, and that's why you watch us. We'll see you guys next week. Chat at you later.